Raila Odinga was an incredible type of a leader who wielded political clout combined with a skill, that of winning over people with considerable ease. He mastered the art of challenging red tape bureaucracy in an environment so frightening, that of autocracy and dictatorship.
He believed, however, in the qualities he embodied to help free Kenya from the firm grip of oppression. Of course, with the help of other brave Kenyans who stood up and challenged the status quo. His approach was simple and rooted in clear principles, that of equity, justice, good governance, and the rule of law. And he did not lift his foot from the clutch to attain this, even when imprisoned, exiled, character assassinated, demonized, ridiculed, and his family mistreated.
And these accomplishments are only apparent when you look around today. Raila Odinga, the Social Democrats' worldview was shaped by global events of historic proportions: the Cold War, collapse of the Berlin Wall, an apartheid which influenced and defined his political course, overcoming the great challenges of his age, displaying pragmatism in the face of extreme circumstances.
Raila Odinga understood the gap between diagnosis of Kenya's deep-seated problems and the prescription. And so much of what he fought for, stood for, are now part of the everyday life in Kenya's political arena. No Kenyan politician apportioned as much time as the son of Jaramogi did to cultivate relations with the public, faulting Kenya's political and economic inequalities.
Honorable social advocate, peace ambassador, nationalist, pan-Africanist, patriot, bold geostrategist, omnipresent, a larger-than-life figure around whose shoulders politics revolved. His death deprives Kenya of an embodiment of reason in times of crisis, whose understanding of statecraft remains unmatched.
Raila Amolo Odinga did not win state power, but the people who are the custodians of all sovereign power. Today, Kenya has accorded its most consequential political son a befitting send-off, a fitting salute to a great statesman who defined Kenya's democracy. They say, cometh the hour, cometh the man. And in 1945 came Raila Amolo Odinga. Rest well, Jacom.
You can share your tributes with us on Sunday Live tonight on Citizen TV. The handles are at O Burrows,
at Ayub Abdikadir,
at Citizen TV Kenya, and the hashtag is Citizen Sunday Live. The SMS line is 22422. We are also joined by Professor Karuti Kanyinga, who is a governance and development specialist, and together with him we'll be dissecting Raila, end of an era.
And we begin with the events of the day. Tonight, we begin with the final farewell to former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga. The former premier was today laid to rest at his father's home in Kango Kajaramogi during an emotional private ceremony attended by close family members and a select group of guests.
President William Ruto led the nation in paying tribute as Raila was interred at the family mausoleum in Nyamira village, Bondo, Siaya County. The late Raila was accorded a full military burial, including 17-gun salute, as Mama Ida Odinga was formally presented with the national flag that had draped her husband's coffin. Kicking us off on Sunday Live is Seth Olale.
The late former premier's funeral procession sneaked its way to his father's home in Kango, Kajaramogi, Bondo, arriving by road a few minutes past 4 p.m. Met by somber silence and teary faces, a full military parade awaited as the cortege advanced slowly towards the gravesite. The rhythmic march of uniformed officers breaking the stillness of the afternoon. Anglican Bishop of Bondo Diocese, David Kodia, led mourners in a solemn prayer, his voice steady yet heavy, as the body of the former Prime Minister was gently lowered into his final resting place. Then came the Thunderers, 17-gun salute. The echo of the last post piercing through the still air. The ritual, drawn from British military tradition, once signaled the end of a soldier's watch. Today, it marked the final farewell to a statesman. A lone jet sliced through the Bondo sky, soaring above Raila Odinga's gravesite. Its flyover marking the completion of full military honors befitting a national hero. Odinga was laid to rest beside his father, independence hero and Kenya's Vice President, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga.
Ili turuhusu itifaki ya kuweka shamba la maua kwa viongozi mbalimbali, kanisa na familia. Tafadhali.
After the body of her late husband was lowered, Mama Ida Odinga was presented with the national flag by the military, a solemn gesture honoring Raila Odinga's lifelong service to the nation.
Asante sana Mama Aida kwa kuweza kupokea bendera hiyo ya taifa. Mheshimiwa Rais, mtampisha mwenzangu Michael Gitonga.
The ceremony concluded with final prayers led by the clergy, the crowd standing still as silence blanketed Kang'o, Kajaramogi. Dust you are, and to dust you shall return. The late Raila Amolo Odinga has been laid to rest at his father's home, a location where he grew up and was nurtured into leadership by his late father, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. Seth Olale, Citizen TV, Kang'o, Kajaramogi, Bondo, Siaya County.
President William Ruto has, for the first time since the death of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, spoken candidly about his health struggles in the weeks leading up to his death.
In an emotional tribute during Raila Odinga's burial in Siaya County, the head of state recounted the difficult moments that followed a dinner meeting with the Odinga family, where they resolved to seek specialized treatment abroad. He revealed that Raila's condition had shown signs of improvement during treatment in India, as Ben Kirui tells us in the following report.
We as Kenyans may be governed in the way of peace.
In a moving and emotional tribute during the burial of the late Raila Amolo Odinga, President William Ruto opened up for the first time about the health struggles the former Prime Minister faced in the weeks leading up to his death on Wednesday, the 15th.
But the last 1.5 months were very difficult times, because every time I met Baba, his voice was hoarse, and he kept on telling me that I am weak because I am taking some drugs. And I was very concerned.
The president revealed that concerns over Raila's health began to emerge about 1.5 months earlier, prompting him to seek medical attention in several hospitals abroad.
He explained to me that he had gone to Dubai and he had gone to the American hospital, and they had told him a few things about his health. And then he came back and went back and went to Canadian Hospital again in Dubai. And after he came back, his doctors, led by Dr. Olunya, who is his personal doctor for many years, administered some medicines to him.
He recounted how he had hoped to meet Raila upon returning from official duties in New York, but the meeting never materialized, as doctors had advised Baba to rest at the coast.
I kept track with what he was doing. And I told him, I will come back, I will come through Dubai, I will also do a medical checkup, but when I come back, I want us to meet. Because his health was very concerning to me. So when I came back, I thought I would meet him on a Saturday or was it a Sunday? But when I called him, he told me, William, Bill, actually, I have gone to Malindi. The doctors have advised me to go and rest in Malindi.
According to the head of state, a dinner meeting with the Odinga family upon Raila's return to Nairobi led to a joint decision to facilitate specialized treatment at a hospital of his choice abroad.
Baba called me and told me he is coming. And he wanted to come and meet me in the office. I told him, because you're not feeling very well, you go home, I will come home in the evening. And that evening on Tuesday, nikaenda nyumbani, Mama Aida akatupikia chakula, nikawa na ndugu yake Uburu, nikawa na msichana wake Winnie, tukakula chakula cha jioni, tukaongea, akatueleza sisi zote vile alivyokuwa anajisikia, na kwa kauli moja sote pale tukamueleza hatutaki guesswork kwa mambo ya afya. Wewe mwenyewe na madaktari zako uamue. Na nikamwambia serikali ya Kenya itamsimamia akiamua kwenda mahali popote kutafuta matibabu. Kwanza alikuwa anajaribu Ujerumani, akasema pengine atajaribu China, akasema pengine atajaribu sehemu zingine, mpaka akamalizia akasema ako na marafiki ataenda kule India.
President Ruto said he constantly checked on Raila during his treatment and was encouraged by signs of improvement. He disclosed that Raila had even called home with good news and was expected back in the country.
But I must commend members of his family, because they were always there for Baba. Especially Winnie Odinga. Winnie, you are a special person to your father. You stood by your father. You were concerned about his health. You persuaded him to take his health seriously. I must also thank Ruth. Ruth Odinga, you were there for your brother. And Oburu kept calling. Mama Aida kept calling. But I want to say, it was not easy. Because when we thought Baba was okay, in fact, alikuwa amepigia watu wengi simu, kuambia mimi niko sawa sasa, madaktari wameniachilia, wamesema nirudi baada ya miezi 6, wacha sasa niende nipumzike, nitapitia Dubai, nikuja nyumbani. Tulikuwa tunapanga kuja hapa Jaramogi Oginga Odinga on Thursday.
But just as the family and the president held on to hope, the devastating news of Raila's death broke.
Nikienda ofisini asubuhi, I remember it was about 6:40 or 6:45 there. Nikaona kwa simu yangu Oburu ameniandikia WhatsApp message, akaniambia my brother is critically ill. Nikampigia Oburu, nikamuuliza, I thought we spoke to Baba and he was feeling okay. Imetokea nini? Akaniambia amepata information. So nikachukua simu yangu, nikapigia yule ambaye alikuwa ameenda na yeye. Akaniambia Baba is okay. Yeye pia hakuwa anajua. Nikamwambia ebu check. Nikachukua simu yangu nikapigia mwingine, akaniambia pia hajasikia. In a few minutes, like 10 minutes, Oburu akanipigia tena, akaniambia inaonekana baba ametuacha. He was not conclusive. So that's a few minutes after 7. After 2 minutes, Winnie akanipigia, akaniambia, first I told her, please Winnie, don't tell me any bad news. But of course she said, the bad news have happened. My father is no more.
Raila's health had been a matter of growing concern and speculation among Kenyans, but the details had been kept private. Ben Kirui, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Ida Odinga, the widow of the late former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, recounted her 55-year-long journey with the love of her life. Ida telling of their humble beginnings when she knew him as simply engineer, who later transformed into political engineering.
Ida letting the public in on some of the painful realities of life with a politician who was ready to risk it all for the betterment of the country. Sam Gituku was at the state funeral service at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University of Science and Technology.
With every step Mama Ida Odinga made as she entered the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University grounds, the intensity of the moment was palpable.
Service commanders.
Escorting the body of her loved one last time for prayer service.
Raila has been my husband for the last 52 years. Many of you who are here are younger than 52 years. You could easily have been our children.
Ida telling mourners how in the more than 5 decades, her marriage has been tested in many ways as Odinga went about his political career, but none is heavier than his demise.
The detention years and years in this exile tested our family in a way only the family can appreciate. It was not easy. But all the time, when he was away, either in detention or in exile, I knew he would always come back. This time, I'll have to join him wherever he has gone because he'll never come back. But the spirit lives on.
Mama Ida tracing back the steps that began 54 years ago when two professionals met with nothing but themselves.
When I first met Raila, some 54 years ago, I didn't see his political side. I didn't see it coming either. He was not a politician in any form. I knew his father was, but him was different.
And their love story evolved.
Out of my group, I was the first one to marry. I married an engineer, a man of calm demeanor and reflective character. They all congratulated me because of that. Little did I know I was marrying a political engineer.
And the political engineering went beyond long-held grudges, oftentimes shocking allies, and Ida saw it all.
Don't inherit in his enemies, because tomorrow you'll find that those people that you thought were his enemies are his best friends, and you'll be left out. Be careful when you are handling his friends. Inherit his friends, but his enemies, let him deal with them the way he made them.
During his political career, Raila Odinga reconciled with all 4 presidents from Moi, Kibaki, Kenyatta and Ruto, all through following serious disagreements and risky political fallouts. And now Ida understands.
When I think I understand firsthand the meaning of still waters runs deep. He was a calm person, but as we lived, I realized He was a deep thinker of a different kind.
Back to family life, Ida acknowledges that theirs wasn't the perfect marriage, but complementary and of friendship.
Like all the couples and families, we also had our ups and downs. But we've learned one thing, and that is we must talk straight to one another. We must forgive and move on. Now, juggling the family life and public lives exert extreme pressure and demands on us from time to time. I know most of the time we used to say Raila is more of public life, political life, than he is for family life. But every time he came, he gave us what we deserved.
And as she bade him farewell, she was as sure as she was decades ago, just more aware.
Dear Kenyans, today I surrender Raila to friends, family, and patriots who went ahead of him. I surrender Raila to eternity, and I surrender Raila to all the ages. I know he's comfortable where he is. I know he deserves to be in the company where he is. And I pray that when my turn comes, I'll join him there in heaven realms. Fare thee well, my dear husband. Fare thee, Jane, father of our children. Fare you well, the friends of many. If you were to start again, I would be there with you.
To Kenyans, he was that consequential politician. To his supporters, he was the source of direction. To his opponents, though, he was that stubborn politician who made life uncomfortable. To Ida, though, he was simply the love of her life, whom she would marry any day, regardless of the seasons. For now, he rests. Sam Kituku, Citizen TV, Bondo, Siaya County.
That was a moving tribute by Ida Odinga. It was interesting to hear, the stories that the family had to share about the man, the myth, and now the legend.
And for her, the embodiment of reason, perhaps other than the political player he was and the enormous task he had to undertake within the arena, how he committed his time for family.
You know how she said, married to a politician, share their friends, but not their enemies.
And she has graciously shared the man who we had eulogized as Kenya's great statesman and a Democrat. So let's take a look at some of the captivating pictures that were captured for you today from the Kango ka Jaramogi, where the burial of the former Prime Minister took place today in the ceremony following the event which first began at the Jomo Kenyatta, at the Jaramogi Odinga University of Science and Technology.
Yeah, Oburu Odinga, who takes over the leadership of ODM and I assume now takes on the role of family patriarch now that Raila Amolo Odinga has passed, did say that this would be a private affair. And so these are the images of him being moved to his final resting place.
Yeah. And the flag which was draped in the casket was handed over to Mama Ida Odinga. And the ceremony, of course, not ending without the full military protocol that Odinga was granted following the presidential proclamation after he passed on in India on Wednesday by the president who made the announcement. And we had seen also the 17-gun salute,
yes,
as the sign of respect to send off one of Kenya's consequential politician that had graced the political arena.
And speaking of his consequence, you have seen the news headlines of him, being addressed as the people's president, being addressed as the president that never was. And there are those who have taken the view that, his final journey, other than the 72-hour provision that was made in his last will and testament, and there we have the 17-gun salute, was mainly driven by the people and their adoration for the man.
Yeah, he believed in simple principles of equity, of justice, and whose ideology was shaped by events around him. Perhaps one that explains why he was in so much close proximity politically to President Obasanjo, for instance. His fierce opposition to apartheid in South Africa. And at the time when Kenya was freeing itself from the one-party oppression and dictatorship, there were also events that had marked global changes. The collapse of Berlin Wall in Germany, marking East and West reunification, and which pushed Kenya on the periphery to be a multi-party democracy, one that Raila would be proud of. And of course, the fitting part of it was the promulgation of the 2010 Constitution, which he helped witnessed as a Prime Minister.
Yeah, he is having agitated not only for a review of the Constitution, but also multi-partyism prior to that, which saw him detained and which saw him also seek exile in Norway. But as I said, we have invited our viewers to share your thoughts and your tributes on Raila Odinga, and the SMS line is 22422. The hashtag is Citizen Sunday Live. The X handles are at Obarus,
at Ayub Abdikadir,
and at Citizen TV Kenya.
We'll sample your feedback here on the broadcast.
The late Raila Amolo Odinga was many things to many people: a freedom fighter, a statesman, a reformist, and the face of Kenya's long struggle for democracy.
But as Mary Mwoki tells us in the following report, as the curtains fell on his life and political journey, his family pulled back the veil of a political chess master, an engineer, to reveal a family man, devoted father, brother, uncle, and a grandfather whose heart was as vast as his vision was for the country.
A man who easily carved time out of his demanding political career for family moments.
O God of the living and the dead.
As the region gathered in his ancestral home in Bondo, a homestead that has for decades been a symbol of political resistance, it was the sound of memories, not slogans, that filled the air.
Joey! Joey!
As mourners took their seats to bid farewell to a man whose public life and influence shaped Kenya's politics for over 4 decades, a man whose name came to be synonymous with liberation and democracy, his family laid bare the man behind the legend.
I'll ride on the protocol already observed.
Raila's children, Raila Jr., Rosemary, and Winnie Odinga, spoke not of politics, but of the presence of a man who, despite the demands of national leadership, never missed a school play or a family gathering. Their words painted a portrait of a man whose greatest legacy may not only be in the politics he shaped, but in the love he sowed within his own home.
We are celebrating a life well lived. We are celebrating Baba at 80 because Baba lived, and he lived his life throughout.
The day has come, and I want to just share with you a little bit about who our father was. Our father was someone who believed in us as individuals, so helped us to think broadly and find solutions.
Raila Odinga, the firebrand politician, was also a soft-spoken, often cheeky family man who carried laughter into every room. His funny side seemingly rubbing off on his last-born, an Iyala member of parliament, who had a cheeky message for the president.
You should also know, in case you are wondering, I'm ready to come back home. If you are wondering.
Joey! Joey! His grandchildren remembered a gentle grandfather who taught them about integrity, kindness, and resilience, and who always had a story to tell. His eloquence and coherence of thought evident on those he left behind.
I will always remember him as a man of quiet strength, fierce love, and unshakable purpose, a gentle teacher, the grandfather who never let the weight of the world stop him from showing up for all his family members, laughing with wisdom and with patience.
From childhood, Raila was a very, very caring boy.
His brother and right-hand man for 8 decades, Senator Oburu Odinga, took mourners back to their childhood to the dusty cotton fields of Sakwa, where a young Raila first showed his spirit of defiance.
All of us had woken up so early to go and pick cotton because Mzee was very strict. Everybody had to go and pick cotton. He told Mzee, Baba, don't you know it is very difficult to pick cotton? Why don't you also try to pick it? And Mzee was not amused.
Senator Oburu says even at an early age, the former Prime Minister always had a great sense of justice and fairness that has characterized his life as a young boy growing up in Siaya, a boy who had no trouble standing against oppression, no matter who the oppressor was.
Raila refused to salute the teacher, so the teacher was not amused. The teacher called him, come again for another beating. He refused to salute. The third time, when the teacher gave him the last beating, he told the teacher that you are caning me for nothing and my mother asked you for permission. So don't cane me again.
His family describing a rarely seen side of the man who inspired resentment and respect in equal measure. A man, they say, had a strong moral compass and one who never tired reminding them that greatness is built not in comfort but in consistency and compassion. As the Odinga family laid their patriarch to rest, they reminded the nation that behind the political titan was a man of tenderness whose laughter, lessons and love will echo through generations. Mary Mwoki, Citizen TV.
And President William Ruto has hinted at a possible alliance with the Orange Democratic Movement Party ahead of the 2027 general elections.
President Ruto assured the ODM supporters that they will not be political orphans and that the party will form a government or be part of the government of the day. Stephen Little has more.
ODM succession politics dominated the burial ceremony of Raila Odinga, with President William Ruto taking the lead in assuring ODM supporters of his unwavering support to stabilize the party in Raila's absence.
Kwa heshima ya huyu shujaa wetu, ile kitu siwezi kukubali na nitafanya juu chini Mungu anisaidie. Ni wale ambao wanataka kung'oa chama ya ODM na kwenda kuchezea karata ya upinzani kule nje. Hiyo haitawezekana.
President Ruto is the UDA party leader, affirmed that ODM will form government in 2027 in whichever means possible.
Ile kitu mimi nataka niwahakikishie, kwa mapenzi ya Mungu, ODM will either form the next government or be part of the next government.
ODM leaders flexing their muscles before Odinga's body that provided a backdrop for succession talk.
Raila showed us before he died that he wanted us to be in government. As a community, as a party, we will be in broad-based government. We will support broad-based government. We will work with you.
Tribute, the only lasting tribute we can pay to Baba and to perpetuate his legacy is to enhance and continue with the partnership that he started with President William Ruto.
Another thing he told us, lazima tukae katika serikali ya broad based. It's on record. Wale wanasikia wasikie, wale wako na macho waone.
And I remember him speaking at the burial of the late Dr. Phoebe Asio, and he said he made a clear decision to work with you for the stability and unity of the nation inside the broad-based government. That is the last standing instruction that Baba gave us. And as a people and as a party, that is where we will stand.
The three ODM deputy party leaders stamping their authority that there is no leadership vacuum in the party after Odinga's death.
Najua kwamba baba amelala yuko pale. Baba amelala, baba aenda salama. Lakini jua kwamba papa wameamka sasa. Wamesema kwamba kulala kwako chama cha ODM kitalala. Nataka nihakikishie umati huu. Chama cha ODM sasa ndio tumeanza mapambano.
Many people are saying outside there that now that Baba has gone, the party is gone. I want to tell you today that Baba has left a strong team of able, brave individuals who are ready to run this party.
Leaders leaning on the pro-broad-based government told supporters that Odinga's wish was to have his party in government.
Mwaka 2027, we will not be in the opposition. Mambo mawili yatafanyika. Agosti tunapiga kura. September, we are either in government or we are government. Joey!
And I want to tell you, whoever imagines that anaweza kuvunja chama cha ODM, yeye ndio tutamfukuza, my friend, na ahame. Chama kitabaki. Tuelewane namna hiyo.
Si tukisema ODM tunasema tuko tayari. ODM.
Diminyaima min yorotege nora ukara chuanya. Ulimana mdirio kanyamgudu gudumari no dukurumena.
With the Orange Democratic Movement members burying their party leader Raila Odinga in pride, a battle to succeed Odinga kicked off, with various leaders flexing their muscles that they are best suited to take over the Orange Party, even as the leadership insisted that the ODM party is firmly in the broad-based government. Stephen Leto, Citizen TV, Siaya.
However, the ODM faction opposed to the broad-based political arrangement between ODM and President William Ruto's led UDA party has called for a fresh review of the agreement between the two parties, saying circumstances have changed.
The team led by the party's Secretary General and Nairobi County Senator Edwin Sifuna called for the party to listen to the people first before making a decision on the direction the party should take.
He took to the podium breathing fire after taking in tons of missiles from his party chairperson Gladys Wanga, who took several jibes at him.
I, as Sifuna, will do everything in my power to keep this party united and together. Even in the face of open provocation, Baba, you know what I am talking about. You know why I'm saying that.
ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, who has been the de facto leader of the defiant wing of the party, opposed to the broad-based government, returning fire in equal measure.
This is not the time to push divisive narratives in ODM. This is not the time. You all know, nyinyi wote mnajua ya kwamba chama cha ODM ni chama cha kila mtu.
Sifuna revisited Raila's last public address in Machakos County on September 22nd this year, when he addressed the ODM National Assembly Parliamentary Group meeting, saying what Raila wanted was in black and white.
Baba alikuwa anasikiza wananchi. Na mimi nataka kuencourage wanachama wa ODM. Sisi viongozi sasa tunyamaze kidogo, tusikie nyinyi mnasema nini. Nyinyi mtuambie mnataka tufanye nini na chama cha Baba Raila Amolo Odinga. Na waomba viongozi msiingize maneno kwa mdomo ya mtu ambaye amelala. Alisema yeye mwenyewe. Akasema kama chama lazima tujiandae kwa ajili ya uchaguzi wa mwaka 2027. Na wale ambao wanaeneza mambo mengine hapa, Baba alisema who has told you? Who has told you? Sisi tutafuata the last standing instruction ya Baba ambaye alitoa chini ya siku 23 ambazo zimepita kabla afariki.
Similarly, Deputy Party Leader Kisii Governor Simba Arati also joining in the fray, firing up the youthful congregation, charging them to stand up for their party.
Vijana msilale, bado mapambano, 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 bado mapambano. ODM msilale, ODM msilale, bado mapambano, 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 bado mapambano. Asanteni, lazima kura za 2027 sisi kama chama lazima tushinde uchaguzi huo pamoja. Huo wimbo lazima tukumbushane, kwa sababu mapambano sasa ndio tumeanza kuelekea mbele.
On his part, Siaya Governor James Orengo, in a thinly veiled attack, also took an aim at President William Ruto, cautioning him against swallowing the Orange Party.
Let us not kill political parties. Political parties are the foundation of democracy. Any arrangements we enter into don't kill political parties. In 1963, political parties were killed, and it took us 20 years to fight to revive political parties.
Orengo also revisited the scenes of the January 30th, 2018, when the then NASA principals left Odinga high and dry during his swearing in as the people's president.
You know, that day is when I knew there are many people who wear trousers, but they should not be wearing those trousers.
The political landscape in Kenya will no doubt change with the departure of the man who served as its barometer, determining and dictating the speed, direction, and sometimes the pressure applied. Emmanuel Toh, Citizen TV, Bondo, Siaya County.
All right, we're already witnessing the, should I call it scramble?
The beginning of new battlefronts that will be opening soon.
So Ruth Odinga, in her speech, I think, started it off by saying ODM should remain united, and thereafter the political statements were made despite the admonishment of the Deputy President Kithure Kindiki. But let's have the expert weigh in. We have with us in studio Professor Karuti Kanyinga, who is a governance and development specialist. Prof, what did you make of those remarks? A fiery Edwin Sifuna saying, as the Secretary General of ODM, saying words should not be put in Raila Odinga's mouth.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And let me begin by saying, Baba, rest in peace. But what we have heard from Edwin Sifuna is what we can call typical Kenyan politics every time we are moving towards an election. There is no single political party that survives any single election other than ODM that has survived the 20 years of moving from one election to another. And the reason for this is because all politicians in Kenya, all political elites are cut from the same cloth. They are the same. They keep on changing alliances every other time. Sure enough, ODM is not going to 2027 elections as it is today, especially because of Baba has left. It may be going to 2027 in an alliance with another political party. Those who are in UDA, some of them will bolt out and others will come in. Today, UDA is not the UDA that we had in 2022 because the Deputy President walked out with his faction, and after he moved out, Raila Odinga filled the void. That's the nature of Kenya's political alliance making, and that has been the scenario from around 2002. So that's the first thing to recognize, that ODM is not going to be the ODM party as we know it. It may grow stronger, it may grow weaker, but it's going to 2027 election in a coalition with any other party. UDA of President William Ruto is not going to be the same as well. Even some of the people very strong in UDA may be shipped out, moved out by the presence of ODM if ODM joins it. In other words, I'm simply saying that what we are seeing right now between Edwin and between Sifuna, the Secretary General of ODM, and other members of ODM, the Conservatives versus the Radicals, as we have seen it, is going to continue and is going to factionalize the party. And once the party is factionalized, they will go to elections in an alliance with another political party. But the most important thing to underline here is that the Radicals in ODM do not seem to be having full support of Ruto's wing of UDA, but they seem to be having the support of the rank and file. But what we have seen from the funeral arrangements and from the voices of the general public, Raila was a very strong person. Whoever is likely to mobilize the voice of Raila and say that this is what Raila said for the party, he's going to carry the day. And we have got to watch this space with a lot of anxiety, because we cannot say that it's given that the rank and file that we have seen very supportive of Raila will move out. And I'm saying this simply because for a while now, after the Gen Z rout, some people would argue that Raila has lost support. Raila's support has weakened. Raila's political base has weakened. But from what we have seen in the country, Raila has been celebrated more than any other Kenyan leader. I don't think there is anyone within the Eastern and Central Africa region who has ever had this kind of celebration than Raila. And that really tells me it is wrong for anyone to have assumed that Raila was becoming weak.
Prof, then, will the center hold, given the personality of the former Prime Minister, who everything orbited around him, 20 years since he formed the party? And if you look at the other end of the political divide, the short political shelf lives for political parties has been evident since multipartyism. What then are the risks of the orange getting bitter as we head into 2027? And second, does this present President William Ruto to leverage on the structures of the party and its strong grassroots mobilization to seek re-election through the ODM party, perhaps riding on being part of the members who helped form it in the aftermath of the referendum? And three, what will then the factional divisions that we had seen today on display mean for the party that its leader, who was laid to rest, so desired to see it united?
Let me begin by saying that we need to remember very well that President William Ruto is a founding member of ODM. And having said that, I think he's in a very comfort zone when talking to people in Luo Nyanza in particular. He's not a foreigner within ODM, and if you look at the messages that he was, his own eulogy, his own tributes, it means they had actually become very close together with Raila Odinga. And that's something we have got to bear in mind, that actually they had patched their differences, and once they had patched their differences, there are certain members and leadership within Luo Nyanza who have taken it very seriously, that this is the kind of person to support. So that's the first thing we have got to say, that even if Raila has been laid to rest, I think Luo Nyanza seems to be very comfortable with Ruto, given their own history of having been in ODM together, other than in the past 2 or 3 elections that they have been out of each other. But they have made they have patched their differences. They have been talking at a personal level. He mentioned that he had a dinner with him. I think we have got to watch that space with a lot of interest, that Ruto may be taking ODM rather than taking UDA. And I think that this is a space to watch. And as I have said earlier, the radicals within ODM and the conservatives within ODM are the two forces that are fighting. And it might be interesting to see the radicals like Sifuna, Orengo, and ask what kind of command do they have on the rank and file of the members. And the conservatives, including the Raila's family, Raila's brother Oburu, and the other leaders within ODM. And I think the die is cast. The radicals might be losing, and they may want to form alliances with the others. And that's what usually happens to big parties. The radicals are fewer in number than the conservatives. And what is likely to happen here is that the conservatives may pray a lot that Ruto is going to give them a lot of benefits. But remember, the parties are held together by how much benefits are you getting from the government. You cannot be held together by hope alone. But now if President Ruto can be able to say, these are the kind of benefits that I'm giving and throwing over to our ODM faction, sure enough, he's likely to carry the day. Because there is no single political leader who would like to wait for a chance for benefits and let it disappear like that. Yeah. And Ruto has known that. He's likely to throw a lot of patronage resources on their side, and the die will be cast.
All right. So Raila Odinga not only leaves a vacuum on, in his political party, right? On the national stage, just looking at the reports we've already aired, this is a man who was described as a stabilizer, because we saw him stabilize not only Daniel Toroitich arap Moi's government. We saw him come in. He said Kibaki Tosha. He's the same gentleman who had 2 handshakes. One with Uhuru Kenyatta and thereafter with William Ruto under this broad-based arrangement. So what vacuum, in your expert opinion, does he leave on the national stage?
He leaves a very big vacuum because when you look at the opposition leaders, other people who are not in government, and you ask yourself what kind of national stature they have, none of them can claim credit to be a national leader whose support cuts across the entire country, and the people who can be mobilized, who can have support mobilized by virtually everyone. Raila has got support across the country. There are many people in different regions of the country who can drive for Raila. Who of the opposition leaders that we have today can we say that people can die for?
People can and have died.
In terms, I'm not talking about literal death, but fanatism, passionate. I don't think there is any other opposition leader that we can say people are passionate about. He is the last of the kind. And simply because he has been able to identify with the grievances of the ordinary people, he's been able to reform the country in a very, very big way. The space, the political space, the liberal space that we have today holds much more to Raila more than anyone else. He was not the president, but he was able to push very many social policies by standing on the platform of any particular event and pronouncing certain things, and you'd see that one becoming a debate. Even his own elections, he pushed the country to start issue-based politics in 2022 alongside President William Ruto. But most important is that he brought the issue of social protection and caring for the vulnerable in a more unprecedented manner than anyone else. If you talk about the 6,000 shillings that he had promised, that itself went to the core of many people saying we have poverty in this country and we must address poverty as a national concern. The fight against corruption is something else that we also need to mention very clearly, Prof, other than freedom.
Yes, and when we get back from the break, that alongside other governance aspects that he had fought for, despite the repressive state.
Because I've had him described as a social democrat.
Yes, he was.
He was indeed. Yes. Yeah, he was. So we'll proceed, Prof, with you here in studio. Other leaders who had closely worked with the ODM party leader, the late Raila Odinga, in past presidential bids were also present to pay their final respects. They eulogized him as a Pan-Africanist who selflessly championed for democracy, justice, and good governance.
Among them were Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi and Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, Raila's close allies in the 2017 presidential election under the NASA coalition. Let's listen in to what they had to say.
Raila suffered. He had a checkered career. But one thing, Raila never allowed the history to hold him prisoner. He never took his challenges as a life sentence. He stood up, walked, and moved further. We are here because Raila lived in this country.
He was a brother. The pain of it all, the struggle for justice and truth, and the fight against corruption. We called you Joshua. We never got to Canaan. There were indeed crocodiles across the river Jordan, as we used to say. Lakini, I've seen in the printed program, you even paraphrase the late Martin Luther King. You've been to the mountaintop. You've seen the promised land. And you know you may never get there with us. But we have to get there on your behalf. I give you my pledge, those values you stood for, the tears, the pain of a stolen election, as my brother Jim Orengo has said, elaborated. That pain will not be in vain.
Mnamo mwaka wa 2007 janga kuu litokea Kenya. Kenya ikawa karibu kupasuka mara pili mara tatu. Hardliners wakasema we want secession. Ndio inji ikafichua ushujaa wa baba. Akaketi na mpinzani wake mkuu Mheshimiwa Mwai Kibaki, na wakaleta amani ambayo imedumu nchi yetu. He fought a strong fight, but he remained loyal to this country.
Wakati ya machafuko yalimalizika, walipokuja pamoja na Mwai Kibaki rais wetu kuunda serikali, wakati walipokuwa wanataja baraza la mawaziri, mimi sikushughulika because I knew I can never be a cabinet minister. Lakini la ajabu, wakati niko kwangu nyumbani naangalia runinga, wakati mawaziri wanatajwa, my name popped up.
Retired President Uhuru Kenyatta and former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo have eulogized the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga as a true son of Africa, a leader whose commitment to transformation extended beyond Kenya to the entire continent.
The fourth president called on leaders to copy Odinga's selflessness and dedication, qualities that went beyond personal ambition. Obasanjo, on his part, who played a key role in brokering Odinga's political deals with both Kenyatta in 2018 and William Ruto in 2022, described his life as a lesson in tolerance, love and devotion. Here's Gatete Njoroge.
At the funeral service of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga at Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University of Science and Technology,
other family members,
thousands of mourners gathered for the final rites. Among the dignitaries who went to bid farewell to their confidant were retired President Uhuru Kenyatta and former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo.
Here in this place, I was with Raila on his invitation 31 years ago when Jaramogi Odinga was buried in this place.
Obasanjo, who shared a close friendship with Raila, said their bond was strengthened by Raila's unwavering commitment to champion transformation, not only in Kenya but across Africa and the world.
One thing that you could not take away from Raila is his love, passionate love for his country and for Africa. And that is what made our relationship to continue to grow from strength to strength.
Jacob, we shall miss you. We shall miss you as a friend, a brother, and a leader of this nation. We shall miss your insights. We shall miss your thoughtfulness. We shall miss your wisdom. And we shall miss your laughter.
The close relationship between Obasanjo and Odinga positioned the former Nigerian president as a key mediator in Kenya's political reconciliations. In 2018, he played a pivotal role in the historic handshake between Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga. And in 2024, once again helped broker peace between President William Ruto and Raila through yet another handshake.
The meeting we had in Mombasa, which brought you and Raila together, and which led to you making room for ODM and other parties in your government, is what make this day a pleasant day that it has been.
Your deeds will live long, as I said, and we will remember. And I pray we remember those deeds in the actions that we shall live, emulating our friend and brother.
For Obasanjo, nothing could come between their friendship. Despite his advanced age, he could go to any length to help Odinga attain his goal to transforming Africa. He went all out in campaigning for Raila to be the AUC chairperson, a seat he lost to Mahamoud Ali Yusuf of Djibouti.
I've lost a brother. I've lost a friend. I've lost a confidant. I've lost a co-worker in the vineyard of Africa.
As curtains close for a revolutionary, a political enigma and a patriot, the two leaders have called on Kenyans, Africans and the world to emulate his traits. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV.
All right, we are still with Professor Karuti Kanyinga, who is a governance and development specialist. Professor, the handshakes that Raila Odinga entered into were not always popular. And in fact, some branded them handshakes. Why do you think he did so time and again?
Yeah, I think we have got to underline very clearly that it has got to do with the nature of Kenyan politics. Kenyan politics is about deal making. And you have got to look at it from a pragmatic point of view, that after every election, what we have witnessed over the years is that any winning candidate cannot govern in a very effective manner as long as a very large opposition force is behind. Remember, the victory of margin, the victory margin in this country, if you are winning an election, the margin of victory is always very thin. If it's 2013, it's 0.something%. If it's 2017, similarly, it was a very small percent, and then there was repeat election. The same with the 2022 election. So if you are a president, you are left with a question of legitimacy. Yeah. What do you do in the process of legitimacy? You must seek out the people who are lost and bring them in so that you can become an effective president. And that has been the nature of the Kenyan politics, coalition making. And I think Raila Odinga himself was pragmatic from that point of view, that legitimacy is very important. How do you govern from a pragmatic point of view? If this person wants to be effective and is approaching me, then this is what I need. And this is what I need. I need my people to be in government. I need this. It's about deal making in Kenya, in Kenya's politics. And this is not the end of it. We are going to see it more even in 2027, as long as we continue with the too close to call elections. And there is no doubt that even the 2027 election will be too close to call. Yeah. And if it's too close to call, if you are a president with just only 50% of the support, 51% of the support of Kenyans, you have got 49% of people you must think about how to bring them on board and become pragmatic about it. So you must seek out those who are outside. And that has been the nature of events in politics. And let me mention this very clearly. Even the opposition today, if they were given a chance to join President Ruto, I'm sure they will be running to do so. And if Ruto himself lost the election and got an opportunity to be invited in by whoever won the election, he would be the first person to run and join that government. In other words, we do not have principles in our national politics. And mark me, if Ruto were to lose 2027 election and whoever wins invites him, it will not, they will have breakfast the next day in the morning.
Considering that he described the Odinga-Kenyatta political relations as mongrel democracy for the elections. But, Prof, does the death of Raila Odinga mark Kenya minus a voice of reason when we were on the brink, that voice that pulled the country back to sanity?
Actually, that's my fear, that a majority of the people we have in the opposition are driven by self-interest rather than national interests. And Raila Odinga was one person who was, I've watched him many, many years. I've worked with him during the Kofi Annan peace process. And one thing that comes out very clearly, when he has got the national interest, he's got public interest, and he speaks much more about Kenya rather than talking about parochial interests. And he doesn't discuss small things. He's always thinking big. He's always asking very big questions. I think we are going to lack that voice, and we are going to lack that person with very big ideas about the future of the country. That's my fear, that we are not likely to have such a person who can stabilize the country with greater ease, and someone who respects the future and visionary in a visionary manner. That's where we have got a gap. But I must admit that we have got other people in government who probably may come up. Musalia Mudavadi, for instance, when you look at the period of Kofi Annan peacemaking process, he stood out very clearly as a voice of reason in many ways. But I think because now he's a prime cabinet secretary, he doesn't play politics much, right? But let's pray for ourselves as a country and say that we need to have a leader who is visionary and who can stabilize the country. I think we are short of right at present.
All right, and I'm going to say amen to that, praying for ourselves as a nation. But the question around succession, of course, has arisen, and we discussed, the political party, but also and on the national stage, but also the Odinga family. I think William Ruto at a certain point considered them one of the dynasties, political dynasties. Is Winnie Odinga, in your view, his natural successor?
It looks so. It looks as if Winnie is slowly fitting the shoes of her dad, given the manner in which she is speaking and the fact that she had become the dad's confidant. And she was with him throughout the 2022 elections. And she is an MP right now, meaning that she has gotten into politics herself. I think she's someone to watch and watch very carefully. And the second thing I think we have got to note about Winnie is that she is youthful and she has got a lot of command of the youth and the youth language. But you never know with politics.
So, and what did you make of her remarks today? Because she addressed the president and she said she's ready to come back home.
It sounded as if she was saying that she will look for a political seat. I think that's my interpretation. But coming home means it was not very clear whether she's talking about contesting here in Nairobi, Lagat, of course, or going up country. But I guess not up country.
But Prof, that is in essence an invitation of mentorship, is it? That the president should lift up her political hand. But the father wasn't as such. In fact, there were serious disagreements when his father, Jaramogi, died, and the divide within Fort Kenya at the time, because Michael Kijana Olmo, the late, was the preferred choice of the father. And Raila weaved his political career. Should this political DNA not be biological and lying elsewhere, and someone else mushrooming from an unknown political part of the arena to be the next Odinga?
It will depend on the kind of fights that will be within ODM and how Gwine will strategize in those particular fights. Remember, leadership is not given on silver platter. You must show yourself by fighting very hard and grabbing it. Whether she is able to grab anything during the conflicts that are going to evolve, that's what will determine what she is made of. If she is not very strong and she is elbowed out, that will be very unfortunate. She will be out.
And in terms of succession, what do you see as having been Raila's succession plan in the political arena?
There is no African leader who prepares for succession. Yeah. You cannot prepare another person to succeed you when you are alive, because you're inviting trouble. That is very common among African political leaders. You don't see them nurturing the young ones. In fact, ODM and any other political party you see around, we don't see that mentorship. People evolve.
Moi had a preference for his protege, Uhuru Kenyatta, though a political novice at the time.
But is Uhuru Kenyatta a member of KANU today?
He isn't.
That's the question, right? And even the way he propped him up, it's sort of factionalized the party. It actually killed the party, if one can say that. That's what led to many people moving out of the party. Remember, leadership in a political party is about struggle. You must grab it. You must grab it and show that you have actually got the ability to mobilize constituencies, become a warrior for the party. Even to be a kingpin, and this is one problem also many Kenyans have got and do not get very clearly. To be a kingpin for any particular region, first of all, you must be their warrior, be able to identify with their grievances and show that you are the person who can actually stand for them, right, more than anyone else, and then be in a position to connect them to other regions or regional blocks or even the government. And so far, I don't see in Luo Nyanza any warrior who is emerging. Well, we can see a few of them, but we haven't seen a real warrior who can say that I am the one fighting for the region and articulating their grievances. You must emerge as a warrior, first of all, and you take that space.
Okay. Lastly, in terms of this broad-based arrangement, where do you see it going moving forward? Because we've had repeated statements today and previous to today that ODM come 2027, if it is not in government, it will be a part of government.
Let me go back to the point I made earlier. Broad-based is actually a coalition. It's an alliance, and it's the same alliance I was saying that that's the nature of deal-making in Kenya. Broad-based is going to continue until the 2027 elections because it's a coalition. It's a coalition that has been formed after the events of the Gen Z protest that we had and the bolting out of the deputy president. So we are going to continue with the broad-based government, UDA and ODM up to 2027 elections. Maybe they will not split. Maybe they will bring others on board, and other coalitions will also be forming. Remember, as you form one group, those who are inside will bolt out, and then you get others in.
All right.
We usually say that politics in Kenya is always in a flux. Yeah. The coalitions, the elite pacts are always changing because it's a question of calculations. How do you calculate your chances of winning the 2027 election? Who do you want to bring on board? Who would you like to shape out as you bring someone in? That's the broad-based government we have. It's a coalition. It's an alliance.
Okay.
They are giving it a different name.
All right. So we thank you, Professor Karuti Kanyinga, for sharing your insights tonight, even as you pay tribute to the late Raila Amolo Odinga.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very
much.
Much
appreciated.
Thank you.
The Anglican Church of Kenya has set the record straight, stating that the late Prime Minister Raila Odinga was a faithful member of the church.
The church recalled how controversy followed the former Prime Minister, now late, even in the church when a white priest refused to baptize him because he lacked an English name.
He was only baptized after the intervention of the Archbishop of Canterbury. Willie
Lusige has that report.
Reports.
A remarkable and little-known side of Raila Amolo Odinga's life came to light on Sunday during his funeral service when the Anglican church that presided over his burial revealed that the late opposition leader was baptized under controversial circumstances. Raila was fully baptized in the Anglican church and therefore he was given a full Christian burial, even though his baptism was marked with controversy because the bishop refused to baptize him when his father Jaramogi chose the name Raila Odinga instead of a Christian name.
He was a faithful member.
Speaking before President William Ruto, senior government officials and thousands of mourners at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University of Science and Technology, Bishop David Cody of the Anglican Diocese of Bondo said Raila's baptism almost failed in the 1950s after a white priest objected to his traditional name.
He was baptized under controversial circumstances.
Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, Raila's father and a strong advocate of African identity, insisted Raila retain his Luo names, rejecting the European names required by the church.
A white priest refused to baptize him because the father chose the name Raila Amolo Odinga instead of a Mr. John or David or something else.
Unwilling to compromise, Jaramogi escalated the matter to the Church Missionary Society, which later ruled that African names were acceptable for baptism, but even after the ruling, no African priest was willing to defy tradition.
Due to the intervention from the Archbishop of Canterbury, Raila was baptized in the Anglican Church.
Even after baptism, Raila's confirmation took years. It was only after visiting the Archbishop of Canterbury in London that he was confirmed and allowed to partake in Holy Communion.
And before he died, it took him long before he was confirmed. He paid a visit to the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, and he was confirmed at Canterbury as a full member of the Anglican Church, given the right to take Holy Communion.
Despite all the challenges, Raila remained a staunch Anglican, regularly attending services at St. Peter's Church, Nyamira.
More so as Diocese of Bondo, we feel that this is one of the worst that has happened to us as a diocese. Losing a person of the cadre of Raila Amolo Odinga.
Church leaders remember Raila as a man who listened to the church, to the people, and fought for justice and equality.
Raila was a politician who always listened to the ground. Let us always listen to the people of Kenya and make justice flow like a river.
Willie Lusige, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Thousands of mourners from across the country thronged the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University of Science and Technology today to pay their final respects to the former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga.
Hundreds accompanied the cortege from the Odinga family home at Opoda Farm, maintaining calm as the convoy wound its way along the Bondo-Usenge Road.
A heavy contingent of security officers were deployed to ensure order throughout the funeral service and at the final burial rite at the Kango Ka Jaramogi in Bondo. Laura Otieno reports from Bondo in Siaya County.
By 6 a.m. Sunday, a multitude had already made their way to the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University grounds. Some spent the night at the grounds, dreading the thought of missing a place to follow the proceedings. Mourners from across the country flocked to the grounds, carrying placards, some doing ODM colors, while some wore badges bearing the image of Odinga.
Technical engineering.
Here to give one final salute to their general.
Mimi sikuona yeye lakini jana niliona yeye, lakini baada ya kuona yeye nilikuja mpaka hapa Bondo. Saa hii bado niko Bondo mpaka nione Bondo amesikwa. Lakini mimi naomba watu wa ODM wakumbuke Raila. Na kama unajua Raila niyo ya ukweli, unajua Raila yenye amekufanyia hata bibi na watoto, tafadhali chama ya Raila isikufe.
Tulitoka jana saa 4 tukafika hapa saa 12 leo asubuhi.
Mlilala wapi?
Hatukulala, hatuwezi lala. Tumehuzunika sana madam.
At 10 minutes to 9 a.m., the flashing lights of the motorbike outriders illuminated the Bondo Usenge Road. There was heavy traffic, but the army officers used their power to clear, paving the way for the cortege. Slowly snaking in, and the former Prime Minister's body was wheeled into a hero's welcome. Guarded and guided by the Kenya Defence Forces, the coffin was laid on the awaiting catafalque. As the state entourage arrived, the preliminary steps involved paying respects to the late Odinga.
May the choir of angels welcome you, our brother Raila.
And as the choir church took over the service, there were more rites. A dash of culture sprinkled as speakers invoked the unseen.
Hola, 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 hola. Joey! Joey! Raila inatuture, winyo mangongo, akwambo inatuture, winyo mangongo, winyo majayo akugwen.
The crowd getting ecstatic with each chant.
Hallelujah, lunorit, pinyingiba, Joey! Joey!
All this time, the university grounds remained heavily guarded, with hundreds of security officers from the Kenya Defence Forces, National Police Service, and other security agencies lining the roads from the university to the Kang'o Kajaramogi. At 4:30 p.m., the funeral process left the university grounds for the final time before an emotional crowd, making the final journey to Kang'o Kajaramogi for the final rites. That, too, was a security operation of what had promised to be a heavily populated event, became the first ever state funeral in the Nyanza region since independence. One last ride, one final salute. The foot soldiers of ODM leader Raila Odinga came in their numbers to catch a glimpse for the last time of the general that shaped Kenya's political discourse for decades. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV, in Bondo, Siaya County.
Thousands of Kenyans from all the 47 counties and even from the diaspora who could not attend the burial of the late Raila Odinga converged in various locations and online to follow the historic event.
And as Crispin Otieno tells us in the following report, Kenyans showered praises on the fallen leader who they described as a buffer against repressive authoritarian dictatorship.
It has been a week of sorrow and reflection for Kenyans from all walks of life.
Fellow politicians.
Kenyans across the country took a break from their daily routines to follow the historic event on giant screens set up in major towns. In Kisumu County, this was the mood in areas such as Kondele and Nyalenda. Residents filled with deep sorrow as they followed the proceedings. In Kapsaret constituency in Uasin Gishu County, hundreds of residents gathered at designated centers praising their member of parliament for providing facilities that enabled them to follow the event live from Bondo.
Mimi kama kijana ya rais nimehuzunishwa sana na kifo cha Agwambo, ambapo sisi kama watu wa broad based government tumekuwa na urafiki na ukurupa wa karibu sana, kwa sababu sisi zote tumekuanga kama timu moja.
Tutakaa penye mzee ametuacha. Kwa hivyo mimi ningeomba Wajaluo wenzangu tusimame imara na tusiwe basikio yetu, wachane mambo ya kutoka huku na kutoka huku.
In the Gusii region, residents of Kisii and Nyamira converged in entertainment joints and community centers to follow the events, many of them emotional as they recall the contributions of the late Raila Odinga in struggle for democracy.
Mimi nimekuja kujua huyu mzee miaka mingi sana kupitia mambo ya sports. Mwisho nikiwa na mzee alituita hapa Gusii Stadium. That was 2018.
Raila Odinga instructed me when they wanted to arrest Matiang'i. I remember very well, Dr. Fred Matiang'i called me and told me the DCI is coming to arrest me. You have very good books with Raila Odinga. Call Raila Odinga to come and help me.
In Malindi County, residents also gathered in different venues to pay their respects, saying Raila's impact on their lives will never be forgotten.
Kusema kweli, baba amekuwa mtetezi wa manyonge, ametusaidia, ametutetea kwa mambo mengi.
Hizi program ambazo kwamba tumefanya ni katika hali ya kufariji wa Kenya na taifa kwa ujumla pamoja na ulimwengu.
In Nandi County, the governor joined elders from the Kalenjin community to mourn Raila Odinga, heaping praises for his contribution to nurture democracy and devolved units.
We are here as a community. We are condoling with the family of Raila Odinga, but we are also here to remember the assassination of our leader and that it is now 120 years.
Similar scenes were witnessed in Mombasa and Migori, where residents stand out in large numbers to be part of the historic moment.
Nitamkumbuka mzee kwa kuwa kwamba kuna vile alikuwa mzee wa kupenda amani na kupenda na kuishi na watu wote na kabila zote kwa amani.
And beyond Kenya's borders, Kenyans in the United States from Texas, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Minnesota and Ohio followed the state funeral live, many holding candlelight vigils in his honor.
And I'm from Dallas, Texas. Today, I'll be talking about Raila Odinga's passing. Everyone, including us, are very sad to hear that our great leader has gone.
Nafuatilia safari ya baba kutoka maeneo ya Pennsylvania, United States of America. Kwa niaba ya Wakenya wote na wakaji wa Pennsylvania, nachukua fursa hii kutuma rambirambi zetu.
In Dubai, members of the Kenyan community gathered with candles to mourn and stand in solidarity with the Odinga family. Well, as Kenya's former Prime Minister Raila Odinga exits the stage with his head high after championing for what he believed was the best for this country, a new chapter opens. Kenyans continue to appeal to the political class to proceed with this legacy for posterity. Crispin Otieno for Citizen TV.
All right, let's take a look at some of your tributes. Remember, the X handles were at O Barrows,
at Ayub Abdikadir, at Citizen TV Kenya. The hashtag was, of course, this is our area of operation on Sundays, Citizen Sunday
Live. This is Dennis Ondari 10, who says to our President, William Ruto, may God bless you for according Baba a state funeral that was indeed a befitting send-off. Baba must be at peace.
Next one is from Wabi. Says, I never knew the true meaning of an enigma until Baba's demise. He will truly live on, and I would love to believe that he is not dead to me.
Indeed, may his spirit live on. This is Frank Orinde, who says Baba has been laid to rest, but his spirit and the values he stood for, justice, equity, and democracy, will live on forever. May his sacrifices continue to inspire generations to fight for a better Kenya. May your soul rest in peace, Raila Odinga. We will miss you, Jacom.
The next is from Mangara Solution 3, says Raila's death has left a huge gap in Kenyan political arena, and it shall never be filled. There will be no one like him. May God rest his soul in a peaceful place.
This is Felix Mutinda 254. Today, I remember Baba, a man whose courage, vision, and unwavering spirit shaped our nation. His legacy of resilience and dedication to justice will forever remain in our hearts. May his soul rest in peace.
And analyst _Phil says Raila Odinga was a true champion of democracy, a child of independence. He endured decades of struggle and sacrifice for the broader cause of freedom and self-governance in Kenya.
This is Frank Kenyatta 254, who says, as a young citizen, I am proud of all that Baba has done. He's gone, but his legacy will drive us to fight for and defend our rights in case of violations.
And Mr. Arnold says, today we bid farewell to a patriot, a mentor, a unifier, and a believer in Africa's potential. His journey reminds us that true greatness lies not in personal gain, but in the relentless pursuit of the common good. Rest well, Jacom.
Kelvin Nyaribo, today we laid Baba to rest, yet it still feels unreal. He was more than a leader, he was hope, courage, and the soul of a nation. Like Achilles and Orpheus, his spirit will never fade. Rest well, Raila Amolo Odinga. You are our light, and you still are.
The next is from Impact Borderland. Says, we cannot stretch time, but we can deepen it. Lives become larger than their length when they are poured into causes bigger than their comfort. Raila's sunset invites each of us to take inventory. What am I building that will outlive my timeline?
What a profound question. Now, Ayub, it's been a roller coaster of days since Wednesday, the 15th of October, when news of Raila Odinga's demise broke.
And of course, before we appreciate our camera personnel here, are some of the captivating moments that were captured since the body of the former Prime Minister's arrival in the country on Thursday this week.
Fellow citizens, it is with deep sorrow that I inform the nation of the passing on of the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga.
Very good morning to you, RAO 001, runway 06, wind is 030 at 05 knots, clear to land.
Clear to land, RAO 001.